feel the heat. Truth on fire, can't stay in the seat. Voices up, let the stories unfold. This is where the real gets bold. Ask Carrol, say it loud. Real conversations, feel the crowd. Real impact, here and now. We bring the truth and show you how. Ask Carrol, ask Carrol.
Carol is welcome, everybody. Welcome to the AskCarrol Talk Show. It is Saturday, February 28th. Goodness, it's the end of the month. Unbelievable. I was literally just saying Happy New Year, and we are already on the last day of February. So, welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining in on the AskCarrol Talk Show. Today, we have a special show lined up for you. Today, we're going to talk about building your fortune. Today, we're going to talk with the expert, our guest speaker, Mr. Tony Herlong. It's going to be an amazing show. So throughout the show, you can put your questions and comments in the chat for Mr. Tony, and we're going to get right into it. We have 1 hour packed of information, so stay tuned. Get your pen and papers ready because there are going to be some questions and there are going to be some real good information. It's the Ask Carrol Talk Show, real conversations, real impact. So today, our special guest, we call Mr. Tony. So who is Mr. Tony? Mr. Tony is a retired military veteran, former vice president of operations for numerous restaurants concept with over 45 years of experience in the hospitality industry. He is currently a multi-franchise with edible arrangements for the past 6 years. His hobbies are watching all sports, traveling and visiting 31 countries, hanging out with his families. Chef, he was trained under executive chef Wolfgang Puck. Loves to cook, he loves to eat, and also he loves exotic cars. One of Mr. Tony's favorite saying is, he is not doing his present. If he's not doing his present career, he would be doing his present career. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Mr. Tony Herlong. Mr. Tony, welcome to the Ask Carrol Talk Show.
Thank you very much, Carol. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you so much. We are happy to have you. We have 1 hour packed with information, so we are going to get right into it. Mr. Tony, just read your bio about you. We know you love to cook. We know you're a business and you're an entrepreneur, but tell us in your own words, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, I'm married, happily married for almost 30 years now.
Congratulations.
I have a family of 6, 11 grandkids, and I have a big biological family as well. So I come from a big family and I'm presently involved with a big family. I enjoy traveling, cooking, just hanging out with family and friends.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, sir. And Mr. Tony, we're going to get right into it. How did you get started in your business?
So I transitioned from working with corporate America. I saw an opportunity to join Edible Arrangement as a franchisee back in 2020. Started the process. The process took about 9 months, and in November 2021, we had a signed contract.
Good. Awesome. And throughout your business career, sir, what problems were you trying to solve when you first started?
It's probably like the newness of being a franchisee versus being a business owner or being like a high executive in the business structure. I had previously owned a restaurant in the Tampa market, so it wasn't brand new to me from that standpoint. But being a franchisee, there's a different set of rules and process you have to follow to be compliant with that franchisor. So that was maybe a slight adjustment. But again, my previous experience, I had did that on both sides for different organizations, things of that nature. So I was very, very familiar with the process. I just wasn't held accountable to that process as an actual franchisee.
Good stuff. And what made you take this leap instead of just staying comfortable in a white collar job or a regular 9 to 5? What motivated you to take this leap?
I've never been afraid to jump out and look for more. And working for someone else is fine. For the most part, you have a certain structure. You have maybe a defined paycheck and things of that nature. But you've got to be able to dream a little bit bigger than that if you want more. And I think being a franchisee awards me that opportunity.
Dream big. I love that. Can someone just put that in the chat? Dream big. I love that. And have you always been dreaming big since you were a little boy, or this just kind of popped up since you started thinking about business?
No, I've always wanted to be a business owner. I remember back one of my first jobs, I worked for a company called Miss Winters. And I remember this, my manager's name was Tony McDonald's. And it seemed like he was having so much fun, running the store and managing the people, things of that nature. And I said, I could do that. And I think that's probably where I got that initial bug to want to become a business person. And that, of course, transition to going to be a business owner and things of that nature. So it was just a natural transition from my first real job.
Awesome. And I know you run a successful business. Do you always see it being successful, or were you at least nervous in the beginning?
No, I think I rely very, very heavily on my history of being responsible for, making sure the business is successful. So my previous experience, I was responsible for over $65 million worth of revenue for a company. So when you're responsible for that kind of money, you don't really have a lot of wiggle room to be unsuccessful.
Yes, yes. And what was the hardest moment of the first year when you first started your business? What was the hardest moment?
Carol, to be honest, I can't say that any aspect of this journey has been hard so far. When I bought in, we was just going through the beginning of COVID. So that
Mhm.
was something that my wife was a little concerned about. She was asking was it a good time to, start a new business with the COVID situation happening. And it actually turned out to be the best time. So Edible as a business had their best year ever the first year of COVID. So I came in at the right time, even though COVID was a shutdown. We were deemed uh, one of the employees that had to be open because we had a service that people needed, which was a food item.
You're talking about edible arrangement, which is one of your businesses. For those of us here on the AskCarrol Talk Show and do not know what is edible arrangements, can you just tell us what exactly you do and what is edible arrangements?
Sure. So Edible Arrangement we've been around for 27 years now, and they're the fruit gifting basket company. So we make beautiful fruit arrangements, and we have other gift items as well, balloons, chocolate, stuffed animals, things of that nature. And we design everything in-house, and we deliver them to smiling customers all the time.
We love to smile and we love that edible arrangement. But Mr. Tony, let's just go back a little bit. You talked about dream big, which is great. We're all dreamers to some point, but was there ever a time that you doubted yourself or you fear of all the monies you invested that you were going to stand the loss?
No, I think that when God gives you a situation, puts you in that position, He doesn't necessarily put you in a situation to fail. Now, if you fail because you don't have the faith, you may not have the necessary skills, you may not have the necessary training. I think that I was positioned with all those things prior to me being awarded this opportunity to be in this business.
Good stuff. I love that. And what sacrifices did you make that people just don't see? Because when we see a business and it appears as if it's flourishing and it's doing great, but there are a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scene. Do you mind sharing with us what are some of the sacrifices, the late nights, the sweat, the tears, and how did you get through it?
So, the first couple of years, most businesses fail within the first 2, 3 years. I would tell you this is my 6th year, and we have made a profit every single month since day one. Now, I bought a couple of stores initially. One of the locations that I bought, it wasn't generating enough income. So I made the decision not to necessarily close that store, but to close the actual retail, but to keep the market. And in doing so, I reduced my expenses, but I kept all the revenue as if that store was still open. So you got to be able to pivot if you see things that are not lined up the way that you imagine. Try to think of a way to make it so that you can still be successful without having to move backwards. And that was probably one of the first times that edible corporate allowed a franchisee to actually close down a footprint or
Wow.
freestanding store and keep that market. And now that's something they try to do with everybody who has a store that's not performing as well. They advise you to just shut it down, but let's keep that market open. So I think that was a
Keep
good
the
thing for me.
Good. Keep the market open. Someone put that in the chat. Keep the market open. And Mr. Tony, what does success means to you now versus when you just started?
Success means, waking up every morning with that same drive, that same vision. A lot of times people associate success with money, and that's good, but it's not so much the financial piece that makes you successful. You got to have people that's coming through the ranks with you that are actually growing as well. You got to be able to be a role model for others so that the things that you learn and you emulate, they too can learn from that and help them to grow to a different level as well. So it's not like a one street journey to be successful. Initially, when I started my business, I was in the store, 6, 7 days a week. Now I may go down there 3, 4 times a month. And the difference is I've been able to retain certain people and train them up to a point where I don't have to necessarily be that person that's on site every day, but the standards and the process and the expectation have been set from the initial investment of time and energy that I spent.
Awesome, awesome. And how do you stay motivated in every business? I'm assuming I'm not a business owner, but in every business, I'm assuming that there's a slow time. How do you stay motivated during the slow season when there's just absolutely no money coming in or little money coming in and you have all the overhead expenses? How do you stay motivated?
So the motivation is a two-part question. So my answer going to be a two-part question, two-part answer. I think the first motivation is, you have responsibility, you have financial responsibilities. So if you become complacent, you don't have a paycheck to depend on, a set paycheck every 2 weeks. So the income that comes in, if it's not managed properly, or you don't look for creative ways to control the cost, then you're not going to be successful. Motivation for me is, being able to take care of my family, being able to maintain my financial obligation, whether it be mortgage, car note, whatever the case may be. So you've got to be able to pre-plan that process. So we have about 3 months every year where it's like our slow period. We have about 4 months where it's absolutely insane. So our February month, which is Valentine's Day, and usually in May, which is Mother's Day, those 2 months alone make up almost 60% of our total sales for the entire year. And the other months, the average for my particular location, average month is about 55 to $65,000, which seems like a lot of money, and it is, but it's not a lot of money when you have to factor in the overhead and the unknowns and things of that nature. So if I have a freezer that goes out, that compressor is probably $4,000. That's not including labor. So you've got to always have your money sitting to the side because you're going to have things to happen every single day. Here in the Florida market, we have a labor wage increase that goes up every year for the last 3 years. So my average worker back in 2021 was making $10 an hour. Now no one's making less than $14 an hour, and it goes up again this year to $15 an hour. So you have those type of expenses that you know about, and it's going to definitely have a negative impact on your business because you don't necessarily get more sales because the average hourly rate goes up, but you've got to be able to stay afloat. So you got to be creative on how you do things. One of the things that I did was the edible arrangement corporate model is you hire people only to drive and people only to make arrangements. I don't do that model. So every single person that I hire for both responsibility, which means I cut down the number of people I actually need. So I went from having on staff an average of 9 people on payroll every 2 weeks to only having 4 people. Get the same amount of work done, but I cut my labor expenses in half.
Yeah, so the key is to stay afloat. Someone pop that in the chat, stay afloat. But Mr. Tony, what if it's absolutely hard and impossible to stay afloat? And we're living in a world where it's unpredictable. Truth be told, the economy is unpredictable at the moment. So what advice would you give to someone who's trying to stay afloat, but it's just incredible hard? What advice would you give that business person?
Think you need to learn that trait or whatever skill set you need to, let's say you're running a business, you got to learn that business from the inside out. So when I first got into this business, I was, 16, 17 years old, and we didn't have computers back then. So learn how to do food costs, labor control, things of that nature. You had to actually have to do it on paper with a calculator. So that knowledge set is ingrained in me. So if I didn't have a POS system to figure out my numbers. I could do it by hand, doing inventory by hand and things like that. So you got to really have an intimate knowledge or whatever that job set is that you're trying to
Hmm.
master so that when things do get tough, you can still maneuver and be successful. Now, you still got to make, good, or I'm gonna say great business decisions. It doesn't it's not a good business decision to hire more people than you can afford to pay or to overspend on inventory and stock and things of that nature. So I run a very, very, very tight ship, but I run it through others versus me actually having to physically be there. So I'm teaching them the same skill set that I have. So if it's just one of me, then it's going to be successful only when I'm there. If I've got 3, 4 extensions that understand the business the same way I understand the business, I have a much better chance of being successful.
Awesome. So would you say it is fair to have a mindset of a winner and a champion? Just that mindset will take you through,
I
even
think the
if
mindset
on
is good.
paper it's not working?
I think the mindset is good, but you still got to have that knowledge and you got to have that skill set as well.
Mindset, knowledge, and skill set. Someone put that in the chat, and we're going to go to the chat in a moment. This is the Ask Carrol Talk Show. We're talking with Mr. Tony, the owner of Edible Arrangements and of many years of business experience. He's here to answer your questions, to give advice on how to maintain and run a successful business. So start putting your questions and comments in the chat for Mr. Tony. We're going to get to it, Alita, in a few minutes. But Mr. Tony, we're talking about money and risk. How did you fund the business in the beginning? Where did you get the money from?
Yeah. I get asked that question a lot. So I prayed about being able to get a business, and God, it was not me whatsoever at all, none. God gave me this opportunity through a 0% interest loan through Edible Arrangements.
Wow,
They didn't know me
that's
from,
impressive.
from Joe on the street. But when I did my presentation, we looked at the pros and the cons. They asked me, know how much money I had to put down. I had money to put down, but the franchise fee was $40,000, and the actual each location cost $335,000. And I didn't want to finance it anyway. I could have probably attempted to get a small business loan, but normally not get a small business loan. I had decent credit and things of that nature, but that's just a lot of money. You're talking about almost $700,000 you got to come up with off the rip. They had a program and they asked me would I be willing to participate in that program, and it was called Manage to Own. So basically,
Managed to
give you
own, okay?
they give you 7 days to learn their business, and if they think you can do it, they put you through a program. They allow you to work in the store and learn that business, and then they would offer you an opportunity. The program itself is 7 days, and at the end of 7 days, I said, "Listen, I don't want to come out the program." I stayed in the program for 90 days. There was 6 of us in that program. Every person that came out failed.
Wow.
And then when I came out, I was able to transition. I sat down with the president of the company at the time. We had a conversation. I told him what the challenges were. I said, listen, if you can do this right here, we'll do this right here. So we made an agreement, got it in writing, got a signed deal. So my 2 loans were financed through edible arrangement with a 0% interest.
Wow,
And
that's
those loans were paid
impressive.
off in the first 4 years.
That is impressive. So it sounds like you're a man of faith, sir. I can commend you on that. But what advice would you give to someone who's not a person of faith, no credit, but have that mindset to start a business? You got lucky with a 0% interest. But what advice would you give someone who don't have the credit, but have the mindset? Is there any way of getting around that to buy into a business or even to start a business?
I'm not going to say no because I'm sitting here as an example that it's a yes. So every situation, every circumstance is going to be different. So I can't give someone the same blueprint that I use. But
Hmm.
my story is what I just told you. Now, I said earlier that you got to have that skill set, you got to have that knowledge. Those things go way, way farther than anything else you can pretty much capture if you want to be successful. I when I bought in, we had well over 1,500 edible arrangements in the system. Today we have maybe 800. So
Wow.
people had the revenue, the funds to buy into it. They lacked the skill set and the knowledge to be able to manage those controllables. So I think that
Impressive.
skill set and knowledge it plays more of a factor than anything else I could think of that helps you
Hmm.
be successful.
Good stuff. Let's go to the chat. Let's see what our friends and family here on the Ask Carrol Talk Show. Let's see if they have any comments or questions for Mr. Tony here on the Ask Carrol Talk Show. Elita, let's go to the chat for a moment.
Thank you so much. This is absolutely amazing. Tony, you are a man, not just a man of God and a husband. I love what your wife has mentioned, and he's my hubby. So anyone trying to check out Tony, it's not going to work. Yeah. So let's just put that all on the table. Okay. But Tony, honestly, I really just want to say thank you so much for all these nuggets that you have given us. And I'm really so pleased with that. And if you could just drop your website just in the comments for us so that people can contact you should they need to. And I think this is just so amazing. Carol has asked some of the questions that that actually we wanted to ask. But what we wanted to find out is that you mentioned that God has opened that door of opportunity for you in terms of the loan and 0% interest. One of the interesting things that we like to find out, particularly for people online who are interested in starting their own business, also for the younger generation, this is the new breed generation coming up. What would you say in that initial time when you would have received the financing, the loan? What are some of the most common financial mistakes that anyone wanting to start a business now, from your experience, what are some of these financial common mistakes entrepreneurs should try and avoid, particularly in this climate?
Very good question.
I think probably the biggest thing, you've got to have a significant cash reserve. And when I say significant, maybe about a 6 month worth of operating expenses. If you don't have that, you will not succeed. Because you've got to carry inventory to sit on the shelf. You've got payroll. You've got, starting a business, everybody think it's just a storefront. You've got franchise fees if you're a franchisee. You've got business insurance. You have commercial insurance. There's so many different insurance and things of that nature. You've got to pay the state. You've got state taxes. You've got federal tax. It's just a whole bunch of hidden expenses that a lot of times people don't factor in. So I have a friend, and they had a $1.2 million edible arrangement. That's 25 minutes from our house. And they tried to get me to buy that store. So, you think about $1 million business coming in, that's a lot of money. That store has closed down 4 times since I bought my store. So 4 times in 6 years, because people can't afford the expenses associated with running a $1.2 million business. So the top line is one thing, but what you actually be able to manage from that top line is a totally different monster. And I think a lot of times people misjudge exactly just how expensive it is to actually run a business.
Good. Good. That's good stuff. Go ahead, Alita. What are we seeing in the chat from our friends here in the Ask Carrol Talk Show?
Thank you so much, Carol. Tony, here's another question for you. Ladies and gentlemen, don't be afraid to drop your comments. This is your opportunity to ask Tony whatever you want, because it's not easy to get someone like Tony to come online and give you all the details and information that you really need. So please don't be afraid. This is the Ask Carrol Talk Show. So thank you so much again, Tony. One of the things you will hear people say, fake it until you make it, or it's not what you know, but who you know. The question, therefore, is who should you be connecting to? First of all, I don't believe in all those who you know, fake it until you make it. If you've got people online that are not necessarily religious from that background, what would you say to people online now? Who are the people you should be connecting to, particularly when you're getting into that phase of entrepreneurship? Who should you be connecting to?
You try to have a good relationship with your banker or whoever's going to try to finance a deal for you. You've got to have a good relationship with peers that are already inside that business. They can tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly about that particular business. When I signed up with Elbow Ranch, I had several people to call me, out of the blue. I didn't know these guys. And said, listen, these are the things you got to do. These are the things you got to watch out for. And when I reflect back on it now, a lot of things they told me were absolutely true. But I think what gave me the upper hand or the advantage in that situation was I knew how to manage a business from an upper level versus at the store level. And a lot of times people only know like the entry level part aspects of that job. I had a restaurant in the Tampa market and I opened it from the ground up. And we were profitable, we were open a year and a half almost. We was profitable every single month. But it was because of my experience in that industry that allowed us to be successful. Nothing else other than that. So you got to rely on your experience. You got to rely on people that's already doing the same thing you're trying to do. But you also got to be business savvy and you got to be smart. You can't spend more than you're taking in. And I think a lot of times people have the assumption because you're a business owner that you're just filthy rich, you do this, that, and the other, and you can get to that level, but it's a process. And it's a process you have to take.
Mr. Tony, let me interject for a second. Last week here on the Ask Carrol Talk Show, we talked about knowing your circle and who you should hold in your inner circle. So let's just piggyback on what you just said. Was there anyone that you were going to for advice or support? Was there ever a time you felt like this was not the right person and they were trying to be a bit sneaky behind your back?
No, so when I came on board, the president of the company, his name was Chick. He took me on his wings, and he was the president of Edible. He didn't know me, but we would talk 3, 4 times a week. He told me it was his job to make sure that I was successful. So we had a very, very good working relationship, and if I needed anything, I'd pick up the phone, call him, he'd make it happen immediately. So
Okay.
he's no longer with Edible Arrangements anymore, but we still keep in touch with each other. So get
Good.
someone that could be your mentor that's going through or have done the same thing. Now, Jack, before he became the president of Edible, he had 57 Edible locations. So they bought him
Amazing.
out. They bought him out to become part of corporate because he was making too much money on them.
Good. Someone put that in the chat. Get yourself a mentor. Let's go back to Alita also for a minute before we move on the Ask Carol Talk Show. Alita, is there any more questions or comments for Mr. Tony?
Oh, absolutely. We've got a question here from Eddie. Any plans on retirement in the future and any possible expansion plans? So it's a twofold question. Are you retiring anytime soon, Tony? And the next question is, any possible expansion plans?
So yes and no. So I'm retired from the military. So that part of the retirement, I've already been there, done it, kind of got the t-shirt thing. This is the second phase of my retirement. I have a 10-year contract of which I have 4 years left over on it. I don't know if I'm going to renew for the next 10 years or not. I named my business Herlon Legacy for a reason. I want to be able to leave a legacy for my kids and grandkids. So if I do decide to retire, I want to be able to transition my ownership into a family member, let them continue that legacy of the business.
Good. Good stuff. Go ahead, Alita.
That's fantastic because a lot of people sometimes when they have their business, and I love what you've said about a legacy, and that's the key point here. Are you training up then mentees? Have you got mentees, younger people, the next breed generation coming up, not just family, but other areas that you're investing in for young people to have an understanding with the whole AI coming up and how do they navigate that from when you were 16, 17, starting the business? And that's the legacy bit of it. Are you doing that at the moment, or is that in your long-term plan?
No, I'm actually doing it right now. I have a manager that's been with me almost 4 years now. So she came in as a regular staff, and she actually runs the day-to-day operation without me, with almost zero insight on my part. And I just recently promoted another young lady. She's been with me a year and a half, and I plan on doing the same thing with her. So my goal, I had to put a business plan together in order to get approved for my business. And one of the things I put in my business plan was I would not hire any B-level employees. So if you got somebody who just barely keep up, I immediately identify that person. We don't keep that person on the team. I want zero C-level employees. They got to be at least a B-level or higher. I try to surround myself exclusively with those type of people that have that same mindset, that want to do more than what they applied for. And I think that's probably one of the hidden keys to my success because, when I was going up through the ranks, if you go to, let's say, a McDonald's today, it's being run by a bunch of kids, and you see that experience. You get that experience. And every day I look on the news, I see, Wendy's closing down 300 stores, Papa John closing down 400 stores, Pizza Hut closing down stores. All these big name businesses have been around for years and years and years. They're closing down for a reason. Because they lack the necessary skill set in those stores to manage those stores.
And
That's amazing.
how do you identify, Tony? You mentioned B level and C level. What does that mean? How do you identify if they're B level or C level in order to determine whether or not you should keep those employees?
So I've always been of the impression that their mindset has got to be equal to or greater than mine. So if I got a person and I usually spend day one, two, and three with a new hire. I hire everybody myself and I spend the first couple of days with them. I'm going to get that impression almost immediately if that person is suited for our job. And if I don't get a good feeling about it, I give them an extra day with my lead manager. And if we have a conversation, listen, this person not going to make it, we sit that person down and immediately, listen, I don't think this is the right thing for you. We're not going to keep you aboard. And we immediately transition to a different person versus trying to carry somebody that we can see can't do this job. Now, I've been in business for 6 years. We've only had a total of 61 people in 6 years.
Wow.
We've
Wow.
got another amazing question here, or a comment, or here's what Apostle Von Brandt says. I have skill sets, and she's speaking this out aloud, but laugh out loud. Would you hire me?
I'm going to piggyback on what I just said. I will bring you in. I will spend the first 1, 2 days with you myself. And I'm going to train you. I'm very, very thorough on training. And if I get the sense that you can do it, I'm gonna feel comfortable. I'm gonna have that conversation. But if I don't get it, I'm gonna still have that other conversation. Listen, this is probably not the right thing for you. So I give everybody that equal chance. I'm the ultimate decision maker when it comes to selecting that person for the job. And I don't want to waste that person's time. I definitely don't want them to waste our time because they either contribute to the team as an asset or they become a liability. And as a business owner, you can't afford too many liabilities.
Mm-hmm. And let's just piggyback on that. What's a lesson you had learned the hard way?
So I was perceived as being rough when I was, I guess, a younger manager, area supervisor coming up in the ranks. And so I was always told that I was unapproachable. So one of the things I've tried to do over the last 10, 12 years is try to refocus and retrain myself to be a bit more empathetic to that person's challenges, but at the same time, not give them enough room to damage the company or to hurt the business.
Mm-hmm. Good, very good. Go ahead, Alita. If there's nothing else in the chat, we can move on.
We've got another really, really good question, actually. Thank you so much for this question, Eddie. Is job retention difficult in today's climate?
I wouldn't say it's difficult. I would say that you have a lot more choices. And we live in an age now where it's completely different than it was 15 years ago. We live in a computer age. So most of the younger generation that come in and apply, they are the mindset that this is a computer job. It's a hands-on design job. We do everything by hand. You've got to be able to be energetic. You've got to have a vision of what we're trying to accomplish, and you've got to be passionate about the job. If you lack passion in anything that you do, you're probably not going to be successful. So we try not to set anyone up for failure. We want to set everybody up for success. And the way we do that, we be very, very diligent on who we select to be a part of our team.
Yes, indeed. Very passionate about what you do. And not only in your business, but I think in life in general. If you don't have that passion, if you don't have that fire, do you think you'll consider yourself a failure?
You may not necessarily be a failure, but you may not necessarily be successful either. And I think the ultimate goal is to be successful. If you had a choice between being a failure and being successful, I think most people want to be successful. Now, everybody takes a different approach to get there.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to do what works best for you. In my case, the things that I've done have helped me to get to this point, and I'm still not satisfied. So, I got to continue to do more to get to the next level.
Do more to get to the next level. I love that. Someone pop that in the chat, please. Do more to get to the next level. Good stuff. Alita, are we seeing any other comments or questions in the chat?
Indeed, Carol. Thank you so much, Tony. You're in the hot seat today. Tony, here's another question for you. How did you handle? I know it appears to me that you're a man of faith because you've mentioned that God gave you the direction. How did you handle fear and doubt when you first started? Because usually when everyone is starting something new, it's the unknown. We've never been here before. At some point in time, this uncertainty comes up. How did you handle? Because this is the Ask Carrol Talk Show, real conversations and real impact. And this is where all the mask comes off. So, how did you handle a bit of fear, a bit of doubt when you first started? When you had, what were the challenges? It's a twofold question. How did you handle the fear and doubt when you first started? And also, what was your toughest challenge during, not necessarily at the beginning, what was your toughest challenge in business and how did you move past it?
Okay, so I'm gonna answer the last part first. So the toughest challenge for me is always being able to balance, family time with business time. And so when you're married and you have kids and stuff like that, a lot of times the kids and the wife, they may not necessarily see the sacrifice that are necessary in order for you to get to a certain point. So that's always going to be a challenge. It's a lot better now, but you miss out on certain things because you got to kind of put that business at a different level in order for you to be successful later on down the road. So I've always tried to do that. As it relates to the fear, I can honestly say I have never had any fear about this transition here because again, 45 years in the restaurant business taught me, I think, every single thing I needed to know about how to manage a business. I did it for others for years and years and years, and I did it at an executive level. So I wasn't doing it at a managerial level. So at a managerial level, you're held accountable for certain things. At the executive level, you're held accountable for making money and driving sales. And that's what I do as a business owner now is make money and drive sales and drive operations. So all of those skill set came into play as I transitioned from being a corporate America type person to actually being a franchisee of my own business.
Good.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So, in other words, what I'm hearing you saying, Tony, you were already in the field. You were doing it anyway. So that's where your confidence was built. And then you transitioned into your own.
Absolutely.
Got you. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Alita. Thank you so much. Let's just have some fun here with Mr. Tony on the Ask Carrol Talk Show. Let's go into some rapid fire fun round for the
Okay.
next few minutes. Okay, here we go. Mr. Tony's in the hot seat. So, Mr. Tony, one book every entrepreneur should read. What's that one book that every
Mm,
entrepreneur should read?
uh, who moved my cheese?
Google
I
my
read that.
what?
Who moved my cheese?
I never heard of that book.
Look up who moved my cheese. It's a parallel. It's a parallel of how to get things accomplished when you're trying to multitask.
Alita, can you pop that name in the chat? Can you say that name one more time?
Who moved my cheese?
It's a brilliant book. Absolutely brilliant book. I'll pop that in the chat now. Brilliant, brilliant.
Who moved my cheese? I never heard of that book, but I bet it's a bestseller, and I will surely get that book.
Yeah,
One
it's my favorite
productivity
book.
tool, one productivity tool you can't live without.
It's either your phone or my laptop. They both do the same things nowadays, but I get a lot of my work done through apps on my phone. So I'm
Good.
not in the store, but I have my whole POS system on my phone and my laptop. I can see every transaction. I could see orders. I could do an overring or a refund. I can open the cash drawer from my phone. So that tool is invaluable to me. My camera system is on my phone for the business, and it just makes my life a lot easier.
Morning routine or night owl?
I'm kind of both. I normally sleep about 3, maybe 4 hours a day. That's it. I'm well rested. So I'm up every morning, 2 o'clock in the morning. My wife's like, here you go, you up again. And I go until 10, 11 o'clock at night. I get a couple hours, I'm back up. I do the same thing over and over again.
Over and over again. Biggest myth about entrepreneurship.
That you're gonna be rich overnight. It's a process. It's definitely a lot of work, but it's rewarding work. And if you do the right thing, it does lead to that type of wealth at some point in time.
How would you describe success in one word?
Consistency.
Consistency. I love that. Put that in the chat, Alita. Consistency. I love that. And that was the rapid fire. You made it seem so easy. But Mr. Tony, let's backtrack for a little bit. I know you're running a successful business, and it's not everyone is in the fruit or the floral arrangement business. What suggestion would you give someone who wants to start a business? What is the most lucrative business now in 2026?
I think any business already established, is some good in it, some bad in it. So like if you're a franchisee like I am, you have a lot of time that name brand recognition that plays in your favor. But if you have a bunch of expense that you're not trained on how to manage, that can play against you. So a lot of the business expense that I have as a franchisee, I would not have as an independent owner of a business. But the flip side of it would be I wouldn't get those same sales either. So you've got to be able to give and take in order to be successful. My giving is becoming a franchisee versus an independent operator. And the giving part that I get from it is I get a whole lot more sales as a franchisee, as if I started my own business and say, this is Tony's arrangement, come and buy an arrangement from me. I'm not going to be successful like that. So you've got to be able to understand, what people want, and you got to be able to over give it to them, over deliver. So a lot of times, we only sell fruit. That's it. And I can go in the store and buy an apple, orange, banana, and all the things that we sell, and it may cost me, $10, $12. My average check at that store is $125 for those same items. And all we do is just dress it up, and we do a lot of marketing and advertising, make everything look good, and people come in and buy it like crazy.
And I can testify to that. That is the truth. Mr. Tony, you mentioned at the top of the AskCarrol Talk Show that you traveled in 31 countries. What are some of the businesses that you have seen and some good success story that you have heard during your travels?
A lot of my travel was through the military, but me and my wife, we've traveled, a couple of countries and stuff. And normally when we travel, we try to keep it relevant based off something that we are familiar with. We don't usually step outside of our bounds too much. So we was in Paris, and we went to, I think it was the Hard Rock in Paris, went to McDonald's. We did try a couple of the local spots, and we were unimpressed with a lot of the local spots that we familiarize ourselves with. So we don't do that a whole lot. We try to keep it to what we know.
Good. And shout out to the Hard Rock Cafe, free advertisement. But I actually went to the one in Paris, and it is not cheap. It is not cheap at all. Good stuff. Good stuff. Let's go back. Let's do a quick time check on the AskCarrol Talk Show. We have 15 minutes here. Let's go back to Alita. What if our friends are saying? Any suggestions, any advice, any comments for anyone who wants to start a business or who already are in business and that are struggling? How are you making out? Any comments, Alita?
Thank you so much, Carol. I love how his wife cheers him on. I just absolutely love this. Lisa, thank you so, so much. Oh, my goodness. Lisa says right here, you can check him out. Actually, Apostle says he ain't lying. Just go visit. You will hear the sounds of pots and pans at 2 a.m. in the morning. Oh my goodness. Oh, thank you so, so much. And as Lisa says here, I can testify. He is a hard worker. So, just thank you so much for that, Tony, because as you said, getting rich quick, that's not it. It's consistency. And Rita says here, hardest working man I know. My God. You know what, Tony, you've got to give them their check later on because I know you've paid them to say all of this. But no, seriously, no, thank you so, so much. We like to hear that. And here's another one coming up. This is coming from his big sister. It's in his DNA. My goodness, my goodness. And here's another one. I've worked with him. Trust me on this. Oh my God. You may have to give them double checks on this, Tony. Oh my goodness. No, thank you so, so much for this. Thank you. Thank you.
And thank you so much, Alita. Thank you so much. Mr. Tony, in the now day that we live, A lot of AI, Alita mentioned earlier, AI is literally taking over. A lot of people are vloggers, a lot of people are podcasters. Ask Carrol Talk Show. Do you think that's a lucrative business where we're making money from YouTube and from the amount of views or comment? Do you see this long term, or this is just a quick fix to make some money?
If you look at technology, every every day, every couple of days, the technology changes. So AI is the it thing for now. It's going to continue to evolve. It's going to continue to change. AI is going to take a lot of jobs, but any job that requires hands-on, AI can't duplicate that. So if you're feeling uncertain about a career choice, get something that requires actual hands-on applications versus something that's more computer oriented, things of that nature. If you have a
Mhm.
computer skill set, that's great. AI is going to take that job. If you have
Wow.
a job where you have to physically do something, AI can't take that job.
Hmm.
So they
Hmm.
can't necessarily take a doctor's job, a surgeon job, or an attorney job. So you got to be of that mindset as we continue to improve on our technological pace in the world.
Good, good. And Mr. Tony, you mentioned this earlier about some of the sacrifices that you made in your early years of starting a
Mhm.
business. But let's just expound on that a bit. What sacrifices, the real hardcore sacrifices, and the lesson you learned that make that people don't see? We don't see this. We see this beautiful business thriving on the front page. We see edible arrangements as a success story. But what are some of the hardcore sacrifices that you made that we don't see that took place behind the scenes?
Okay, I would say the biggest sacrifice is always just going to be a time commitment. You've got to be willing to sacrifice your time up front and hope that you do the right things throughout that process so you'll be able to get more time on the back end. So I said earlier, I normally go down to my business probably every 8 to 10 days. If I go backward to when I first started, I was there from open to close every single day. I
Mhm.
haven't done that now for over 2 years. So that early investment of time is what I'm getting back now. I can honestly say I can stay away from that business for 2, 3 weeks and it wouldn't miss a beat because I've had the ability to train up and select people and train them up to a point where I feel
Mhm.
very, very comfortable they're going to do the same things as if I was there. And they also they they're knowledgeable enough to know that if they don't know, they're going to pick up the phone and ask me. They're not intimidated by me being the owner because we have such a great open dialogue of conversation every single day about the business. They understand the business almost as equally as well as I do. I just have a more vested interest in it than they do.
And that's good. But was there ever a time that your kids and your beautiful wife felt like, you know what, honey, this is just too much. It's taking too much of your time. Here in the Ask Carol Talk Show, it's real conversations, real impact. We don't judge on the Ask Carol Talk Show. We don't bully on the Ask Carol Talk Show. But Mr. Tony, was there ever a time that your wife and kids felt like, Dad or honey, give it up. It's taking too much from us.
My wife she's always said that this is the right job for me, but not the right job for her. So she's not part of the day-to-day operation for that reason. So
Good. How about the kids? Did you
so
miss any baseball games or any football? Did you miss school recitals?
absolutely. Early in my career, as a
Of
young
course, that's what we said. Two
executive, I
two
did.
years.
As a young executive, I did. But at this level now, the kids are grown and they're doing their own thing, so it's a lot different now. So it allows me more time actually now to do the things that we maybe. So we're able to travel. My grandkids, for the most part, stay in
I'm sorry,
Atlanta.
Mr. Tony. Mr. Tony, I'm sorry. Can that person mute, please? Please mute your phone. Thank you. Go ahead, sir.
So we're able to travel now way more than when I was younger in this business entity. So I've actually we gain more time now than the time that I lost in the past.
Good. So it's a happy ending. It's a happy ending. And the key, I think, is just understanding if you have a partner or a family or friends and that's not on board with you, the key is just understanding and give it some time and cheer on that person. Sometimes that person see the vision and you don't see it, but believe in that person and you have to know your circle. Oh, we're having so much fun on the Ask Carol Talk Show. Before we go, let's go back to the chat. And Alita, what are the comments we're seeing? What are the questions we're seeing for Mr. Tony?
Thank you so much, Carol. First of all, I just want to say a big, big shout out to one of the most supporting wives, Lisa. Oh my God. Can you just give some hearts for Lisa going up? Lisa, you've been so amazing. You've surpassed amazing, supporting your husband, loving on him, and just covering him. You've got his back. That's what I'm hearing him saying in business, in everything. So a big shout out to you, Lisa. We appreciate you. We need more women like you that support their husband in business and just keeping things tight with the household. So thank you so much, Lisa. Oh my goodness. So back to you, Tony. Thank you so much as we're coming to the close. But just one question I want to jump in just before you go. Edible arrangement. How do you set your business edible arrangement apart from others in your industry? What makes you so different? What makes you a cut above the rest? Because we've heard you've worked so hard, you've done so much, you've got God behind you from the start. What makes your business set apart from others in your industry?
So, in all honesty, we don't really have a competitor. You can go to Publix and you can get some type of fruit basket type situation, or you can get some flowers, stuff of nature. But if you think of all the different business out there, if I say McDonald's, you're gonna say Burger King. If I say Popeyes, you're gonna say Church of Chicken. So a lot of the typical things that you think of from a competitive standpoint, we don't truly have that. So we're in a market almost exclusive to ourselves. Now, we've got people that try to dip strawberries and stuff like that, but you can't name them. So if you can't name them, they're not really a competitor to us. So we are actually in a niche that no one has been able to come in and duplicate. And that name brand, we're on our 27th year. And what started out as a single store flower shop, that El Brand used to be a flower shop up in Connecticut. Now we sell flowers and fruit, and they've been able to take those fruit and make them look like a flower. So it's a natural transition, and they captured that market and they maintained that market. So right now we have a 99.5% share of that market, the fruit gifting market.
That's fantastic. That is fantastic. And here on the Axe Carol Talk Show, it is international. It is global. We have people here from all over the world. I'm not sure in any other countries do they have an edible arrangement. But if you are in the Central Florida area, go check out edible arrangements. Some of the most beautiful arrangements, some of the most delicious fruits you can ever have. Before we go, I put my number in the chat. It's 856-625-5125. If you need to purchase a copy of the book that we wrote, I'm saying we because we all did this, it's Know Your Circle. In this book, we talked about the inner circle, we talked about the outer circle, and we talked about the wider circle. Very powerful book. So it's very exclusive. It is not on Amazon, and that's because it is so detailed, it is so intimate, it is so personal about the people that we surround ourselves with. So I will personally personalize and sign a copy for you, but you must call me at 856-625-5125. It's called Know Your Circle. Mr. Tony, what an amazing show. Any final advice for us who wants to start a business, whose business is failing, whose business is flourishing, and how do you build a fortune? What is your final thoughts on that?
Pray about it, trust God, learn the skill set that's necessary to actually manage and run that business and know that business better than anybody else.
Wow. Can you just say that again? Elita, put those words in the chat, please. So profound. Say that again, Mr. Tony.
Trust God. Trust God. He's got to, I mean, God is the beginning of everything. So you got to trust him through that process, learn that business, and you've got to know it better than anybody else. If you want to be successful, you got to know your business. A lot of times you go places and again, I'll use a Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A is really good, but Chick-fil-A is only as good as that person that you're dealing with at that moment.
Wow. Wow. Powerful words. Powerful words. Let's turn it over to Alita for 2 minutes. Any final thoughts? Any other comments that are popping out in you before we go here on the Ask Carrol Talk Show?
Thank you so much, Carol, and thank you so much, Tony, for all these wonderful nuggets and insight. And I love the fact that your foundation is built on Christ Jesus. So thank you so much for that. But we cannot close without even going back to some of these comments. And here comes Lorraine says, and I just love this because it's such good sisterhood that's online here. She says, Tony's wife is a good, wise woman. Quote, Proverbs, ta-da! You know where I'm coming from. I just slipped that one in, but I just love this. Tony's wife, I'm going to read exactly what it says. It says, Tony's wife is a good, wise woman. Build her home so her husband can build his business. That is why her husband has been successful. God bless his lovely wife. My God, all up in here. I think we need a praise break right here. My goodness. No, thank you so much. I'm laughing, but it is like joy. Thank you so much, Lisa. My God. Thank you because you're honoring your husband in such a way. And we stand with you, Lisa. We're loving on you. So we're cheering you on everyone that is online. Tony, thank you so much. We appreciate, we love you. And we actually pray that God will elevate you, accelerate you, and move you into new realms and levels as you expand your territory and your region. This is the Ask Carrol Talk Show. Real conversations, real impact. This is where we keep it real 100%. And give it up for our host, the mostest, Carrol Samuels. We love you, Carol. We appreciate what you do, your sacrifice, your consistency every week. Ask Carol. So thank you, everyone. Invite your friends, invite your family for the next session of the Ask Carrol Talk Show. And ladies and gentlemen, don't forget this book called Know Your Circle. This is such a book that is changing lives. This book, once you get a hold of this book, you can't put this book down. So get your phones out. 856-625-5125. This is the Ask Carrol Talk Show. Thank you so much for joining in today. You guys have been absolutely amazing. Thank you so much.
And before we go, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Tony. Thank you for taking the time out on your Saturday. We appreciate you and congratulations on the success of your business. So before we go, what is in the Ask Carrol mug?
What's in
It's
there?
apple juice. It is apple juice today. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night. Join us again for another episode. To my amazing co-host, Alita, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
You're welcome, Carol.
Good night.
Bye-bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
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 Bye-bye.